Hello friends, here I am with next part of this story. I hope you all like the video and subscribe to my channel. So let's start the video with summary. Naruto has done some amazing things during his shinobi career, but when he gets transported to another dimension, becoming a father to a demigod, he could deal with it. Becoming the father of 2 demi-children, oh shit. Now Naruto had to deal with gods and fairies while keeping his children safe. Ordinary day for Naruto. Naruto x harem. Doing the impossible again? There were only so many words that could describe the situation Naruto was facing right now. A shitstorm of epic proportions capable of destroying the universe did not cover it. Not one bit. He could almost feel his balls shrink. Stupid balls. Naruto thought. You got me into this. Sure, blame the balls for every single thing. Right now he was sitting on the couch across from Eliza, now named Athena, and Artemis, now named Artemis. Not much creativity there. Athena had him in a death glare while she breastfed her daughter. Artemis was busy cooing their daughter, who seemed to be a ball of energy. Naruto couldn't help but ogle Athena's breast and had one thought at the moment. They grew. That got an even deadlier glare from Athena, though she was smirking that she was paying attention to her and not Artemis. Zephyrus and Hermes, while they were too busy containing their laughs at the misfortune of the blonde, Naruto couldn't really hold it in anymore. He could handle guys laughing at him, but not when his wife, girlfriend, whatever, was breastfeeding his daughter. Shut up and wait in the next room. The adults need to talk. He hissed at the other males. Hermes, who was still on the floor trying to prevent himself from ripping his gut, chose to antagonize the blonde. Make us. We're gods. Zephyrus, who had enough, decided enough was enough. As he started to pick himself up to go to the next room, he caught the glint in the blonde's eye. Naruto, who was getting more and more pissed at the messenger of the gods' attitude, decided to put the hurt on him. The most painful way possible. Athena and Artemis were about to yell at Hermes to go away, suddenly stopped as they saw their individually set as her men walked up to Hermes. Hermes didn't register anything until it was too late. By then his eyes were wide open, in pain. He looked at the blonde, who was now stepping on his crotch. He watched as he lifted his foot and stomped again, and again and again. So much pain. Listen, you idiot. I don't care if you're a fucking god. This will hurt, and this will be your usual punishment if you don't listen to me. Are you clear? Naruto hissed quietly, reminding himself that his daughters needed quiet. Why yes. Hermes squeaked out. His voice sounded fairly high. Yes, what? He said, stomping once more. Yes, sir, master. God, just stop. Hermes said, his voice already sounding like a 5-year-old girl's voice. No man can resist the pain of a stomp to the balls, not even a god. Good, now get. He said, causing Hermes' winged shoes to fly to the other room. Zephyrus walked into the room, very protective of his balls. Hermes decided to humor the blonde, and he admitted to himself that he might have been a bit afraid of having his balls crushed. That was, Athena started to say, watching her daughter's father in action. Impressive. I like it. Athena said. She didn't hate Hermes, but he was going to stir up her daughter. If he was going to do that, well, fuck him. Now, would you mind explaining to me what's going on? Naruto said, sitting across the 2 goddesses again. Athena and Artemis looked at each other. They silently agreed that they could rip the blonde a new one after they finish explaining what was going on. It might be too much if they did it before, and they could hold it as blackmail, guilt-tripping information if he chooses not to take care of their daughters. Well, first, let me introduce you to your daughter, Annabeth Uzumaki. Athena said as she slowly passed her to her father. At least he knew how to hold her, thought Athena. Naruto, on the other hand, was observing his daughter in more detail. She had his grandfather's hair. She was so small, he felt if he moved too much he would break her. Her tiny fingers curled against his index finger, and the baby opened her eyes. She had her mother's eyes, the same gray eyes that would soon become the same as her mother's if he had anything to say about it. He would not let his daughter be dead at last. Artemis was in a fairly good mood. She was an actual mother. He owned flesh and blood. She idly wondered back to when she saved many pregnant women back in the past. They always seemed radiant when they saw their child. They wouldn't stop looking at it for a second. She kind of envied it. But now, she understood, it was magical really. Who knew a child could bring such joy in such a short time? She handed the baby to Naruto, albeit a bit reluctant. She wanted to hold her daughter more, damn it. Her name is Tsuki, Japanese for moon. I thought it would fit. Naruto held his daughter with his other hand. She was small. She squirmed in his hand, almost as if wanting to keep moving. A regular ball of energy, just like him and her grandmother, Naruto thought. Her occasional cry was nothing but adorable. She had his hair but had her mother's eyes. A kind of color of yellow that he did not see, not even in the elemental nations. A yellow-like color, like when the moon shined yellow. Those were her color. He figured since she was the daughter of Artemis, she'd be some sort of hunter in the future. It might pain him later, but if she wanted to join her mother, he would agree with her choice. After all, a father must have unconditional faith in their children. Then something came into his mind. A father. He was a father. He started rubbing his head on his daughter's scalp, his tears streaming out of his eyes. He couldn't help it. He was a father. He had an actual family now. Oh sure, it might bring him all kinds of trouble, but he didn't care. He would protect them. This is what Dad must have thought. Naruto thought. He recalled what his mother, Kushina, told him back when he met her. His father, the Yellow Flash, was crying his eyes out when he was born. He called himself a father. He must have felt what he was feeling now. I've been called many things. A hero, a savior, an idiot, a lover, dope, knuckleheaded, the orange spark, but being called a father is the best one. Naruto thought. I'm a father, he said out loud, smiling while his daughters kept sleeping. Athena couldn't help but let out a soft smile. She knew how much a family meant to Naruto. What he must be feeling right now, it must be as if he was blessed, but it might become a curse if what she has to tell him. She might have been unsure to how Naruto would react when he learned that the Furies might be after his children. Hopefully he would make the right choice and send them away when the time comes. She couldn't help but think that he couldn't catch a break, living as an orphan and struggling to make his way in the world, only to get involved in their dangerous world. Artemis, on the other hand, was very much okay with leaving her daughter with Naruto. While she may not have harbored as deep as an affection for the blonde as Athena, who was staring at the blonde with a wistful expression, her affections ranged somewhere between like and love. She wasn't really sure what to make of it honestly, because they have in reality only spent about 10 days with each other. She was once again reminded that love is a very powerful emotion. But she cared about the blonde father, no doubt about that, a bit more than she should normally actually. But he was a fighter, that much she knew. Her daughter, she smiled at, that would be taken care of. She was a bit nervous to what her future would bring, but she would be proud of her daughter with whatever she chose. Naruto decided it was time to talk about what would happen. He knew this would bring all kinds of trouble. He really thought it would be best to stay out of whatever was happening in the world. It wasn't his fight. But now he was getting involved, to protect his new family. Thus, he lifted himself off the couch and put the babies in their golden crates, badass cradles they were. He picked the cradles up and moved them to his room, activating the silencing seals next to his turn-on-off switch on the wall. He gave a kiss on their forehead before closing the door behind him. Walking toward the goddesses, he took a deep breath and asked, "So, can we start from the beginning?" Naruto asked. Artemis and Athena both looked at each other and nodded. They already assumed what he was going to ask. "Well, I'll try to make it as simple as possible. You know the gods and goddesses of Olympus? Yes, they exist. Mount Olympus moves to wherever the center of power is in the world, so right now it's America," Athena said. Naruto gave out a sigh. It was already a lot of information, but he had to ask the more dangerous questions too. "So, since there are gods, I'm guessing that the monsters from back then also exist? Like the Mino?" But he was cut off. "Don't say their names," Athena yelled, causing Naruto to jump a little. "Names have power, Naruto. It draws them to you. The demigods, the technical term for our daughters, call them the kindly ones for their own protection." Artemis said. "So, what about the titans? What about Kronos? If you can't kill a god or titan, then is he still alive?" Naruto said. He saw the both of them go rigid slightly. Shit. Athena inwardly cursed at Naruto. Leave it to him to pick up on that little detail. Artemis, on the other hand, would praise him for his quick understanding of the situation. Grasping the potential dangers even remotely was impressive. "It's been taken care of," Athena said with a poker face. Naruto only snorted. "You know, for eons old goddesses, you aren't a good liar," Naruto commented, drawing glares from both females. This coming from a two-timer. Athena scoffed, but she immediately cringed when she saw the hurt in Naruto's eyes. She cursed herself. Her mouth always got away from her at the important times. She really didn't mean to say it as she did, but thinking about adultery and such disturbing acts with another person. I see. And what about you, Artemis? How do you feel about this? Naruto said, motioning his hands and spreading them, showing he meant he was talking about the situation. I want to say I expected this, but I know you're not that kind of person. It still hurts a little though. While I do not like to admit it, I'm a jealous person. Maybe it's a natural reaction after learning that someone I'm in love cheated on me. I am not sure, she said. Sorry. That is all I can say. Is there any chance you two still trust me? Naruto asked. They both looked at each other, until Athena chose to speak. We are not sure. Naruto was silent. He really couldn't tell them about himself anymore. He had trust issues. Many didn't know it, but he was very insecure about himself. It was a result of his childhood. He could not trust many people. There were only a handful who he trusted his life to back in Konoha. Not even Sakura was on that list because he wasn't sure if she would kill him in order to gain a chance to talk to Sasuke. Trust is a two-way street. If one cannot trust another, then it was useless to try. Once trust is broken, it is hard to get it back. I would like to say it wasn't my fault, but I doubt that would fix anything, Naruto said. Artemis didn't hold much against him because she asked him after all. She never asked if he was in a relationship. She brought more trouble to him. Right now she knew that Athena had used the mist to heavily influence Naruto's thoughts, making him forget about Athena. Part of her wondered if he was feeling used. She did after all asked him for it, but he was still willing to take the blame. Oh, he's so sweet. Artemis thought, her maternal instincts totally kicking in as she started gushing at how caring Naruto could be. Or maybe it was her hormones? She gave Naruto a smile, telling him that she still cared about him. Athena decided to speak up. I don't know if I can. I want to, but she trailed off. Athena thought it had gotten out of hand. It was the first time dealing with these kinds of feelings, feeling slightly betrayed by Naruto and Artemis as if they willingly went behind her back. But she couldn't fault them, she had a large part in this mess. At the time, Naruto didn't even know what was happening, totally oblivious of their previous relationship, so she really had nothing to complain about since the problem originated from her. She grudgingly admitted to herself that Artemis may be more desirable after you get past the whole I detest men thing and all that. Hunting gave her a great figure. Yes, she was jealous. So what? Naruto was saddened. He felt that he lost another precious person. But he let out a sigh. He knew it would happen, but that wouldn't stop him. When has it ever? If there was anything Naruto knew about himself, it was that he proved everyone wrong by his actions, and this was no different. So how exactly do you kill the kindly ones? Just get a knife and stab them? Naruto asked, trying to change the topic to something more neutral. Although he was hoping he didn't have to journey halfway around the world to get some lost artifact that was capable of doing so. It wouldn't be the first time he's done that. You actually need a certain type of metal called celestial bronze. It cuts through them like butter, Artemis said, drawing a knife and throwing it at the table in front of them. And swinging dangerous sharp objects has nothing to do with the cutting power, Naruto says deadpanned. Artemis looked a bit embarrassed. She never really thought about it. Of course it would cut like butter, any sharp piece of metal would. But it just needed to be celestial bronze. So nothing else would work? A regular sword, what about fire? Naruto asked. A regular weapon will cut them, but they would grow or regenerate back. The celestial bronze would negate that. As for fire, it will work, but it's dreadfully slow. You'd have a better chance bashing it with a stone. Also, even if you do kill them, they will eventually come back, Athena offered her comment. Naruto figured they were a type of sentient life like the bees, so he understood why very quickly. Are there any kindly ones near here? Naruto asked. Actually, we wanted to talk about that, Artemis said. We want you to move from here. Athena said. Why? Naruto asked. Because this place is basically a nest for them, Artemis said. Just walk outside, you'll see them, Athena said. Naruto did so. He walked outside and he looked around. He immediately spotted things that he was not expecting. Some kind of monster-looking thing hanging from the electric pole. Humans or what seemed to be humans walking around with one eye, even if you're looking straight at him. Why aren't they attacking? Naruto commented as he felt Athena and Artemis approach. Because we are here. They wouldn't dare attack you with us here. But still, this is unusual. Even if they knew why we were here, this is far too many for it to be a coincidence," Artemis said. Shit, Naruto thought. He honestly thought that he was out of the line of fire, but it appeared that some of them could tell something was off. He idly wondered if the reason they haven't attacked was because they knew they would lose. After hearing Kiba's thoughts of being an alpha and stuff, it would make sense. These monsters were most likely primitive, relying on their instincts. Or maybe they sensed his chakra and couldn't really tell if he was what they called a demigod or if he was just an unusual human. He needed to make sure that he could take those monsters. If there was any time to know, it was now, rather than facing a monster by yourself without a god to back you up. Athena, Artemis, can I trust you to keep a secret? Naruto asked. Both of them looked at Naruto confused. Of course, why wouldn't we? Athena said. Not a word. Artemis said. Hopefully you do, Naruto said. Naruto stood up on the railing and aimed his hand towards a bird thing that was close to him. Aiming his hand straight at it, he called, xxAkuxx. Chakra chains. He had been experimenting with the chains his mother produced to hold the kawaii. It took him a full month, even with his shadow clones completely devoting themselves to it, to get it right. It was amazing that his mother knew how to do it instinctively. A chain, glowing blue, stretched out and pierced the bird creature with the sharp point at the end of the chain. Naruto pulled his hand back, dragging the bird with him. Gathering chakra to his other hand, his chakra began spinning in the palm of his hand as both Artemis and Athena stared in fascination. When the bird was a few feet in front of them, Naruto quickly thrusted his hands to the monster's face, calling out the name, Rasengan. He said, barely muttering the word, but the rest could hear. The bird's face twisted, sending gold dust everywhere as his existence started vanishing as the blue sphere grinded into its body. Its body soon turned to golden dust, and the wind blew it away. Silence. And silence broken. What in the name of Hades was that? Athena said. What did the blonde do just now? Artemis just stood there in slight shock. She was surprised, but after seeing so many battles up close, she was more open to the strange things one does. It's what we call chakra. A manifestation of spiritual and physical power, Naruto said, in the most rudimentary way he could. And how do you acquire it? Artemis said. It was deadly useful after all. It's something you're born with. Unfortunately, both my daughters don't have it because your blood overpowered mine. Though they may gain something, but I am not sure. Too early to tell, Naruto said. Athena was getting more and more curious. How did she not know he could do that? What are you? She said. Honestly, she had never seen that kind of power before. That's actually a good question. I have many titles that I've gained in my short life. It was true after all. He was a ninja, a human, a former Jinchuriki, a humanoid being. He wasn't even sure if he was still human, to be honest. He was half considering himself a demon, not an insult but a bona fide demon. He wondered if he could kick a god's ass. That would be awesome. I am unpredictable, Naruto stated. Getting a glare from Athena, she did not like not knowing after all. Artemis, however, could see the humor in it. Due to her brother and his current Japanese fetish, she knew Naruto's name other meaning, a maelstrom. What a powerful name. Though she suspected Athena already knew, she was much too focused to see it. Not funny, Naruto. What was that? She yelled at him. I can't say right now. I'd rather tell everyone at once than individually. Besides, it's a family secret. Well, it wasn't, but since he was the only ninja in the world, it was. Then what are we? You don't consider me family? I gave you a child, for God's sake, Athena yelled. That alone does not make you my wife. As much as I wanted to, just saying that you're my wife won't make it so, by human standards at least. Did you forget that you were the one that left me? You manipulated me into not even knowing who you were. Let's face it, when was the last time you married someone and stayed with the father until his death? Were you ever married? Would the rest of the gods even allow you to marry a mortal? Your words right now mean nothing to me. At this point, marriage to a god is only by words. I have never heard of you staying with your son or daughter after giving birth. How will I know that you won't have other children with someone else? Naruto questioned. Naruto understood. After all, those weren't his first children. He had a duty to perform, and he did what was necessary. At least he left a legacy on that world. He knew it was totally uncalled for to say that to her, but he needed to get the point across. Athena stayed quiet. It was true after all. She twisted his memories to make him forget her. She wouldn't be able to marry him because he was immortal. It would end eventually. He couldn't be offered immortality because he was not a hero. They weren't a family. He was only a donor at this point. This isn't a relationship I want. A relationship built on the wrong reasons. I love you, I truly do. But this, I want an actual mother for my child. Not the kind who would blindly follow their parents. I wonder when Annabeth is old enough to meet you, will she call you Mom or will she call you Lady Athena? Naruto said. Athena was quiet. Naruto could see she was hurt. But it had to be done. Staying in a relationship with her would only bring more disaster than he could handle. He wasn't willing to be reckless now that he was a father. Athena just walked away, not turning back. She disappeared after she got far enough. You're an idiot, he heard. It came from Artemis. I know. Why did she do it? She asked. It needed to be done, he said. Why? Artemis, from what I managed to piece together, gods aren't allowed to raise their children, right? She nodded. Then that means she cares more for the rules than for family. I care for my family above anything else. Even if I make Olympus my enemy, I'll fight to protect them, Naruto said. Against Olympus? That's ridiculous. One person can stand up against a god, let alone a human, she said. Then she heard light giggling. Then it became a chuckle, then full-blown laughter. For a moment she wondered if Naruto had gone insane. Well, it wouldn't be the first time I've killed a god, he said, thinking back on the Jubi. It was a truly frightening creature. Even incomplete, it was dangerous. It was certainly a monster on its own to create the world he lived in. Artemis was startled at that. Did he really kill a god? With that ability he showed, who knows what he was capable of? Will you hurt them, the Olympians or the children? She asked. No, not unless they throw the first punch, he said, as he walked back into his house, fully intending on moving somewhere else to get away from the monsters. Artemis decided to place her trust in Naruto. She knew that was what he wanted. She knew the kind of person Naruto was. She understood him easily. It kind of confused her that she knew Naruto that well in such a short time. She decided to leave it to Naruto because she knew that his heart was where it mattered most. She kind of envied his daughters. To have such a father, unknown, that idiot, that no good, lying idiot, that's what he is. Athena thought. She was with that idiot for months, and he thought that she could fool her. She understood Naruto's mentality. If anything did result from what happened, he would take the blame. It hurt to see him like that, bearing the weight of responsibility. He didn't even know what the gods were capable of, but then again she didn't even know what he was capable of. She had to trust him. He trusted her to keep up the charade, and she would. Why? Because she loved him. Back in the apartment, Naruto sighed. Why did it always have to get so complicated with him around? Why couldn't he just find someone, have a child and live the rest of his life in peace? Wow, he was thinking like Shika. Good old Shika, crazy cloud-watching bum. He kicked the door where Hermes and Zephyrus were, causing two thumps to be heard from the other side. Come on out, guys. I got questions for you, Naruto said. He heard grumbling from the other side before the two gods decided to come out. So, what the heck are you? Don't tell me that bullshit you told the girls. I'm more savvy than the other gods. I know more of how humans think than they do, Hermes said. You got to spill it, man. We're bound by the bro code, Zephyrus said. Our per Newton Zephyrus power lies with wind, flowers and plants. It reminds me way too much of hippies. Thus his attitude will be similar, bro code? Naruto asked. It is a book by which all bros must obey, Zephyrus said. Hermes shook his head at the West Wind's antics. Ignore him, he can at least keep secrets. You can trust me. Hermes said. Says the god of thieves. Naruto retorted. Good point, Hermes said. Oh, how that came to bite him in the ass so many times. I'll hold you to it then. Honor among thieves, as they say. Naruto said. You're a thief? Hermes asked. Not exactly, Naruto said. Then? Hermes trailed off. Naruto suddenly disappeared, startling Hermes. He looked around wildly, looking to see what happened. He stopped when he felt metal touching his neck. How did he am a shinobi? Naruto said darkly. Shinobi as in a ninja. That is awesome, dude. Zephyrus cheered. Hems felt the metal leave his neck. He sure wasn't expecting that. But he shook it off. Ninjas existed once, not much of a shock to see them around, even if they were more badass than before. So what did you want to ask? He said. I want to know who's in charge. Are they pricks? Am I supposed to do something specific with my kids? Or do I just let whatever happens happen? Naruto asked. Hermes didn't see any reason not to tell him. The big three have the most power: Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon. Zeus gets pissed off really fast, so don't mess with him. Hades has some sort of fetish for violence, not sure what kind. I'm guessing it comes with the job. Poseidon is the more sensible one when it comes to regular stuff, but he's middle ground for both of them. The others can be against him or for him. As for the demigods, you take them to Camp Half-Blood when you can. The sooner the better, because they'll come chasing them eventually. As for letting things happen, that's totally up to you. You can do whatever you want, just know that there's a chance that you can die. Naruto kind of figured what type of people would be in charge. Ruling for Ians would have that effect, he concluded. Camp Half-Blood, he'd have to check that out someday. As for leave it up to whomever, screw that. He was in another world. He'd screw fate and destiny so hard that they'd be knocked out while he proceeded to change everything. So, is that everything? Hermes asked. Just about. I think I can handle myself from here on out, Naruto said, getting a nod from both gods. Good luck, you're going to need it, Zephyrus said. Naruto nodded, and just like that the gods vanished. Naruto thought a bit and concluded that Hermes was a messenger. He needed to be fast, and Zephyrus was the wind. You can't really see why leave. Naruto walked back to his room and watched his daughter sleep. He promised himself that no matter what, he would always be there for them. 6 years later, Daddy, look at what I did to Bayo, screamed Tsuki, pointing at a dartboard that had an X symbol made of darts. The young girl was jumping up and down as she was grabbing her father's hand, trying to get his attention. Naruto was making some food, ramen. His daughters had a taste for it, but never to the extent of their father. Still, he loved to cook for them. Give me a minute, honey, I'm almost done, Naruto said. It still shocked him how much he had changed. He acted like a stay-at-home dad. It was kind of embarrassing. Okay, Daddy, she said. Tell your sister to come and eat. Wash your hands, okay? Okay. She cheered as she went and ran to her sister. Naruto thought on what had happened so far. Ever since he started raising his daughters, everything had changed. He was no longer impulsive, or an idiot. He actually became a lot like his dad. He was in a bit of a panic when he first started raising them, but thanks to his godfather's books, he didn't really need to work. At first it had been difficult, especially with Tsuki. She was a regular ball of fire, always crying and wanting food. Her sister Annabeth was a lot more quiet, something he appreciated. But he had to admit he was a bit concerned because she spent most of her time reading them interacting with people. He thankfully didn't have to worry about the kindly ones for a while. He had been experimenting with them for a while. When he first started, he wanted to figure out just how could they tell they were demigods. Was it by smell, by look, or maybe it was something else? He first started with smell. With the help of the chakra chains, he was able to capture and keep one trapped. At first he let out a concentrated ball of air in the monster's chamber to see how it would react. They did react, but only when the smell was near enough to them. It did not explain how they could find them from far away. He put up a video linking it to his daughters. They did not react. He started thinking, maybe it was similar to sensors back in his world. So he started to experiment a bit. It was easy to produce the same aura as his daughters. With a bit of finjutsu and some blood, he could siphon that aura and make a clone of it. He called it Fuinbenshin, seal clone. The results were instantaneous. The monster attacked right away. So now it was a matter of stopping or limiting that aura. But that would be hard. The aura was basically their existence. How could he erase existence? But that was it. He couldn't, so he chose another way: confuse it. After many tests, he found a solution that would work. He applied it to his daughters. Whenever they went out, it would activate, shadowing their demigod heritage, preventing any monsters from even looking at their direction in suspicion. He also discovered that the less his daughters knew, the better it would be for them. So unless they ran into another demigod, he had no obligation to tell them. Morning, Dad. He heard a voice. It was Annabeth. She was holding a book underneath her shoulders. Annabeth, no reading on the table. Naruto chastised. AWW. Come on, Dad, please. she asked with childish persuasion. Naruto sighed. It seemed he could never bear to tell his daughters no. Unless it was something important he would never not say okay. He wanted his daughters to have everything he didn't. While they didn't have a mother, he hoped it was enough. What he didn't know was that his daughters had been keeping the women away from their dad. They had seen how they looked at him and didn't like it. Even their own teachers looked at him the same way. It annoyed them to no end. He was their father, and no one would take him. They were really protective of their dad. To them, they didn't need a new mom. He was enough. Okay, but remember to be careful, Naruto said. Okay, Annabeth said, grinning. Her daddy never said no unless it was important. They sat there eating their food. Annabeth was talking about buildings and how she would like to see them one day while Tsuki talked about any sports she had played. Naruto thought they were opposites. Annabeth was the brains, much like Shikamaru, and Tsuki was the finesse, like Hinata or Neji. It was weird how well they got along. After they were finished, Naruto drove them to school. Annabeth wanted to go to a private school to learn more and Tsuki joined because she didn't want to leave her sister. While she was smart and capable of taking care of herself, she sometimes ran her mouth a bit too much and made the wrong person mad. He got out of his car and dropped them off at the gate. He caught the glances from the other females and his daughter's death glares. It was pretty funny to watch his daughters trying to keep the women away. Sure, he was hoping to get a wife eventually. Some part of his mind hoped he could still marry Athena or Artemis, but he knew it would be a complicated relationship. Honestly, they were the talk of the school. All of them were blonde, which drew some attention to them of all ages. There was also the fact that all of them had different eye colors. It wouldn't be much of a problem, but people rarely see a shade of blue, the kind that Naruto had, gray eyes like Annabeth or yellow amber eyes like Tsuki. That and they were very active, Naruto and Tsuki more so than Annabeth. While Annabeth did like moving, she enjoyed reading much more. Tsuki took after her father a lot. She reminded him of his childhood self. He was happy to see his daughters smiling every day. Though it did bother him slightly that they had ADHD and dyslexia, but not much. It only made him worried that they would not have many friends. He could care less if they were even slightly below normal. He wasn't one to judge that badly. Though he did have anger toward emos, those pricks. He had already encountered several monsters. It seemed that they were more sensitive than he thought. Even as newborns they could somehow sense the rudimentary tug to where demigods were. But thanks to his training that he had been doing in Defenjutsu, those monsters were easy to take care of. He decided to read up more about Greek monster or any monsters. In fact, he could never be too careful. If gods existed, then maybe demons or aliens existed. He was paranoid, yes, but all ninjas were. While some did seem fearsome, he didn't really think much of it. After all, he faced a freaking BU at 12 years old, and various demons later too, and they were the world-conquering kind of demons. He really didn't want to deal with a lot of monsters in the legends. A lot of them had some sort of power. He wasn't looking forward to being turned to stone. It was like the Sharingan all over again. God, he hated that bloodline. Besides training, he needed something to occupy his time. Sure, raising his daughters was a good way to spend the day, but with school, it left an 8-hour gap of doing nothing. He really missed doing missions right now. Sure, learning how to control more elements was great, but it just became a drag eventually. Learning to control gravity, or rather vectors, had been his awesome project of his. Ever since he fought Nagato, he had been thinking about that attack, Shinra Tensei. It was a devastating attack, both incredible defense and offense. He wanted it, but for the life of him, he couldn't figure out what to do, or how to do it. Then he started separating what made the Rinnegan different than naturally acquired things. All 5 elements, people could get them, albeit only 1 or 2. The paths, he was sure it was similar to the dead body animation thing Itachi used on him. Special abilities of his path, while absorption could be duplicated with Finjutsu, it wasn't practical. Summoning, many could do it. Mechanical body, sci-fi stuff but possible with Suna puppet knowledge. Human and Naraka path were beyond human measure. Then there was the mastery with yin and yang, opposites. Was it related to magnetism? But the core of it is drawing and repulsing objects. The base of that was moving, force, movement, in other words a vector. The first thing he had to do was learn yin and yang release, which was a very slow progress. After all, with those 2 powers, the Rikudo Sennin locked away a primordial god, or at least that's what he thought the Jubi was. He had no Rinnegan, no Sharingan, no other bloodline than what he learned by himself. He had no advantages at the start, nor at the end. All he had was what he made for himself, and he built upon it. He wouldn't have it any other way. A year later, "Daddy, can we go and see the Parthenon in Nashville?" Annabeth said. He blinked. "May I ask why, sweetie?" Naruto asked his daughter. It was really weird for his daughter to ask for anything other than books. She had never asked for something like this before. "Come on, Dad, please. We're on vacation. It's only like a day's drive from here," she pleaded. She did not understand the meaning of distance yet. Why do you want to go there?" Naruto asked again. "'Cause I want to see the building," she said, her eyes shining with hope. "Honey, a day's drive is too much just going to see a building," Naruto said. He could never really understand his daughter's love or architecture. He could appreciate it but never be fascinated to the extent of his daughter. But I want to go," she said, her eyes turning watery. His daughter knew how to get what she wanted. In reality, he had no reason not to say no. He had money, he could use a break from training. The only thing that would change his mind is if his other daughter didn't want to go. "Tell you what, if Tsuki wants to go, we'll all go, okay?" Naruto said, exasperated. It was so easy to trick kids to thinking they won. Though he made sure not to spoil them too badly, just enough in his opinion, but then again, normal was over the top for others. "What do you expect? He's an Uzumaki." "Thanks, Dad," she said, jumping into his arms and giving him a kiss on the cheek before running to persuade her sister to go to Nashville. Tsuki would go wherever her father would go. She adored her father. She was a daddy's girl. Well, both of them were, but if Tsuki would have to choose between following her father or going outside to play, she would pick her father. Why not? He was the best dad ever. When she wanted a bike, he bought her one. When she wanted her own room, he bought her a full set, complete with games and a giant TV. When she wanted to learn how to fight, her dad taught her to be badass. When she wanted to learn how to throw a knife, which was very unusual to ask and she knew, he hugged her and cuddled her like crazy before bringing a wooden dummy and a box of various pointy metal. So you can see why she absolutely loved her dad. She loved her sister too. Sure, she could be a bit geeky and a know-it-all, but she was her sister. If she was ever in any danger, she would rush and beat up whatever boy was bothering her. Act in first and then questions later. Her dad said it was wrong to think like that, but he said that about a lot of things. She listened, mostly, but sometimes her mind wandered. Her sister never asked for much except for the occasional book and her own computer. She wanted to see building on it, for God knows what. She was aware that her dad spoiled her. Her friends kept telling her that. Not that she hated it, but whenever her sister comes asking for a favor, she listened. She knew her dad spoiled her more than her, but that was because she asked. Her sister was a bit more reserved. She suspected that she didn't ask for much so she could get brownie points from dad. She knew that their dad loved them both the same, but sometimes a girl needed to feel special. So when her sister came asking if they could go to some museum or something, she agreed. Her sister needed some daddy time too, even if watching a building is boring. And she wanted to get away for a bit. Her dad got so much attention from women. Even some of her friends couldn't stop looking at her dad whenever he came to pick her up. It made her mad, especially when you overhear the grown-ups talking about taking him to bed, whatever that meant. But something was telling her that she didn't like it. Annabeth felt the same. They were very protective of their dad, keeping away the hussies. They had no idea what that meant, but Annabeth said it was supposed to make sense. She was the smart one, so she listened. So it was the perfect chance to ditch them. It had nothing to do with the fact she heard they would accidentally make it a point to meet him by coincidence. So it was the perfect chance. Her sister jumped up and down, cheering. Yup, the things she did for family. Nighttime, Naruto had been driving for hours. He envied his daughters in the back. It was so unfair. They were just sitting watching DVDs in the car, while he looked on the long dirty dark road in front of him. This dimension could be boring sometimes. Why didn't he hire Ishin to Nashville again? Oh right, incognito. He didn't mind though. His daughters were happy. He was happy watching them be happy. No trouble at all. Daddy, I'm sleepy, Tsuki mumbled. It was already dark. He didn't want to risk being attacked on the road while it was dark. A car explosion would be bad. Okay honey, we'll stop by a hotel and go to sleep. How does that sound? Naruto asked softly. She mumbled okay, but Daddy, I'm not tired. Annabeth yawned. Sweetie, the building will be there tomorrow. It's not far from here anyways. The sun needs to be up to see it, remember? He asked. Minnie, she mumbled, clearly tired. I'll buy you some more books over there. How does that sound? Naruto asked. She bobbed her head. Books make her happy. Annabeth was a good girl. Good girl gets books. They stopped at a hotel. Nice place. Near a bridge and a river flowing under it. Annabeth loved it. Tsuki was drinking soda to keep her awake. Her dad's rule was never drink coffee. He said it made her too hyper. As soon as they got settled in, Annabeth rushed outside. Dad, I'm going to go see the bridge. Is that okay? Yes? Okay, bye. She said fast. Naruto looked completely surprised. He cursed himself. He never realized she was that crazy over architect. Annabeth, wait, God! He cursed. Of course she would act impulsive. She was his daughter. Tsuki, stay here, he said, putting on his shoes and going to the door. Wait! You want me to stay here? In a hotel room by myself? With who knows who else in this building? It's like the setting for a horror movie. Tsuki proclaimed. Good point. Get dressed and let's go. Naruto said. Annabeth Uzumaki would swear if her father didn't smack her behind the head whenever she did. She ran out of the room, wanting to look at the bridge. It was nothing big, just a bit off into the distance, like a 10-minute walk. Nothing wrong with that. She remembered something that her father once told her. Our family tends to get into the most weirdest and most dangerous situations when we least expect it, or when we don't think with our head. He said. She really wished she paid more attention to that. Right now she was staring at some type of monster, flying. It looked humanoid and it was chasing some goth-looking girl with black hair and some other teenager with blonde hair. They were also carrying swords and a golf club. How fast her day went from great to bad. Before she could get her head together, she watched as the monster looked at her and then screeched and started flying towards her. This was just not her day. Where is it going? The gothic girl cried out, watching the kindly one fly off in a different direction. The blonde-haired one looked to see where it was heading. It was heading to a blonde-haired girl. I think it's going after that girl. He cried out. But why would it, unless she trailed off? She's one of us. The teenage boy cried out. Oh, this was not their day either. Thalia, Grace and Luke were not having a good day. One of their bases was destroyed and now they were going to another one. But as they were attacked by a kindly one. The kindly one injured Thalia's leg but they still managed to get away. They got far enough to their current place but the kindly one found them again. But as it happens, they put another of their own in danger. It wasn't the first Luke had lost someone. He had been traveling for 5 years, so he knew his way around things. But one thing he hated seeing was children dying right in front of him. Quickly taking out a knife, he threw it at the kindly one, causing a tear in its wings and falling to the ground, right in front of the girl, making her stumble back. Get away now! Luke cried out as he ran towards the monster. Thalia was out because of her injury and he had no celestial bronze. It just might be the end for them, he thought. He was too far and he knew he wouldn't be able to reach the girl in time. Annabeth looked in horror as she saw the monster stand up, making a claw with its hand. Was this it? Was that how she was going to die? By some monster? She still had a lot to do, so many things to see. Was she going to leave her sister and father behind? Her father on instinct she screamed, Daddy! Her voice rung through the streets. The monster was bringing its hands down on Annabeth. The claw hit air. Annabeth waited for pain, but instead she felt something grab her. She opened her eyes to see her father's glowing blue eyes staring behind them. What just happened? That was awesome. You're awesome, Dad. She heard. Annabeth looked at her dad's shoulder and saw her sister staring at her dad with amazement. What just happened? Luke said out loud. I don't know. All I saw was orange static, she said, in amazement. The man moved so fast. Naruto looked at the creature. How pathetic. He felt no need to hold back against it. It almost killed his daughter, Annabeth. Tsuki, get off. I have a little business to take care of, he said coldly. Both his daughters blinked. They had never heard him say something like that. Dad, you can't. It's a monster. Let's go away, Annabeth cried out, her father letting her on the floor. She was scared of the monster. Don't worry, sweetie. Daddy will take care of it. I promise. Naruto said, kissing Annabeth's and then Suki's forehead. Annabeth looked less worried. Whenever her dad promised something, he never broke it. You can do it, Dad. Kick its ass. Suki cried out. Okay, Suki. Just don't blink, it'll be over very fast, he said. He looked directly in front of the monster. It looked wary. It had reason to. You don't mess with a fox's kids. When you do, you see a whole new monster. If you don't want to disappear, leave, Naruto said. The monster let out a screech and charged. Figures. Naruto dashed, quicker than anyone could see, appeared below the monster, sending a kick towards the monster's face, making it fly towards the sky. As it was in the sky, Naruto appeared above it and used Rasengan on its stomach, sending it hurtling towards the ground and making a mark on the ground. Naruto then appeared above it, leaving no time for it to react it and shoved a Udama Rasengan, causing a crater to form where the monster once stood. Naruto smiled at himself. That was awesome. He needed to remember that move. Harishin plus Rasengan for the win. He looked at his daughters who looked at him in amazement. That was awesome, Dad. You got to teach me, Suki said, running into his arms. Annabeth a second later, crying into his pants. She was still short, she still didn't even reach his stomach. Now, don't cry, Annabeth. Daddy's here. He won't let anyone hurt you, okay? He said to his daughter, who nodded into his clothes. He sighed. This was more troublesome than he would have wanted it to be. Hey, you two, come over here, he yelled as he watched both the goth girl and the boy stiffen. They were smarter than to go against the man. He was powerful. They were tired and injured. They stood no chance against him. Okay, I know what you two are. Let's go back to the hotel so you can tell me what you guys are doing here. What are your names? Naruto asked. They were shocked. The man knew that they were demigods? Well, his daughters were too, so it wasn't a surprise. They had nothing to lose by talking to him. My name is Thalia Grace. And my name is Luke Castellan. Again, who can tell me they saw that coming? Not you, I bet. I knew it might not. I hope you all liked the video. And if you all want the next part of this video, please like the video and comment 3 hearts. Please subscribe to my channel so whenever I upload a video you will notify.